quick unboxing video. I actually done a few videos on the XA4 in the past, the Olympus XA4. I had actually bought one in pretty kind of, very user grade, some scratches all over it, condition a while back, and shot a handful of rolls through it and enjoyed it, but I ended up selling it. Didn't have it for a while and kind of missed it, and ran across this, basically unused in the box one, and kind of had to pick it up. Mostly because I kind of wanted to shoot it again, and then just you know me and these kind of new in box film cameras. It's kind of a thing of mine, but check it out. So it's kind of interesting box setup. So on the bottom there's actually a little slot where they basically put these Maxwell LR44 batteries, and the manual. No big surprise. No big surprise there either. But if you check this out, this is interesting. I've never seen packaging like this. It's kind of strange. It's like this plastic that kind of fits. It's cut out in the sides, so when you push it in, it kind of holds the camera tight against this what's kind of odd blue styrofoam. And you have the XA4 kind of measuring strap. You can tell this has definitely never been used. Maybe this is a little bit dark here. Light this up a little bit. A little rubber band, hold it together. It's definitely never been used. And then camera. Really good shape. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Difference with this one though is I had the, I guess, North American market one before that had the feet measurements, which I kind of thought was, more logical to me, but meters works too. I kind of like visually how this displays. Let me move this open so you can see them. Other than, I guess, 1 meter, they're all like two digits with a decimal. Oh, sorry. 3 and 1. It seemed odd on the other one I had because it was imperial. It had like 1 foot and then like 0.5 feet or something. It was weird. I don't remember what it was, but it just wasn't as consistent. I guess when this is closed, it almost looks like they're all like a 0 point something, and then get into 1 and 3. But either is fine. These kind of distances, it's pretty easy to judge. But yeah, this thing looks in really good shape. I do see a couple little nicks on the battery compartment, but I don't know. It could be because they just were testing it out. I have put batteries in this. It does seem to work fine. I'll probably shoot some rolls through it. I'm going to try to keep it in good shape just because it's a cool camera, but I was definitely planning to use this, not just kind of keep it in the box. Let's open this guy up. No surprise, super clean inside. Probably has never had a roll of film through it, I don't think. But yeah, so just thought that was nothing too exciting, but figured I'd share it just because you don't see these, new in box like this that very often. Kind of rare, right? Similar to my Olympus Stylus Epic video, just seemingly never used. This is a neat camera. I like the XA as well, but the rangefinder on it's just, I don't know, it works. It's just it's really tiny, especially compared to like a Leica. It's a really dim rangefinder square. Part of the problem, I think, is in my XA in the window. This is an XA4, it doesn't have a rangefinder, but in the little finder, the rangefinder window, it's kind of fogged up on the inside, like inside the camera. And I can't clean that without taking the whole camera apart, which I don't have an interest in doing. So I think that's part of it, but I think it's just because it's kind of tiny and compromised. But with the zone focus ones, there's none of that issue. So assuming you estimate the distance right, it's going to be right. And with these kind of cameras, it's not like, I don't know, when I'm shooting it, I'm not expecting like super precise focus, and you can still get it pretty sharp anyway. So I really like this one, and the wider field of view with this kind of like a 28, or it's not an equivalent, it's a true 28mm lens. It's a 28 f3.5, if you see that right there, if you didn't know already. And it's a Zuiko lens. It's really nice. The viewfinder is straightforward. Basically just tells you if you're not gonna meet her right, like basically it gives you a warning light if you're underexposing, and it's gonna have a slow shutter, so like there's not much thought put into it. It's kind of nice, so I always enjoyed shooting this. I'll throw up a few examples at the end, but I did want to show one other thing here. So for a size comparison, not surprising, the XA4 and the original XA are basically the same size, you know. They're all from a common design, you know. The difference is you see the rangefinder window on the XA. That's where they put the little light for the self-timer, whereas the XA actually had it over here. Otherwise, it's basically the same. The molds look pretty similar. I'm sure there's probably some minor differences, but it's pretty much the same thing, down to even like this little grip. So that's not a surprise that the XA, which was the original, was similar. But here's what I think is interesting: is here's my Rollei 35 SE. Let me move this up a little bit. Kind of line it up on the side there. These are very similar size cameras too. So this was like the original tiny 35mm camera. It's a little bit fatter, sort of, but technically with the clamshell or whatever hump there for the lens and whatnot, that is technically makes that whole body thicker than the body. But then obviously the Rollei has, well, not only the dials that stick out, but then the lens protrudes even more, and then when you pull the lens out, it's like totally different. But you could see they're kind of a similar size. This is obviously a 35mm, hence the 35 SE. That's where that name came from. Well, I don't know, maybe also because it's a 35mm film, but also it is a 35mm lens. This one has it's a Sonar. Oh, no, I'm wrong. It's a 40mm lens, that's right. So the 35 was because it was a 35mm film. But you can see they're similar size, but the Rollei's a box and it's a little fatter, and then when the lens pulls out, it's drastic. What was cool about the XA and XA4, XA1, XA2, XA3, all of them, is the lens doesn't extend, and that was this whole complex optical design that Zuiko did to make it work. I read something about it being like a telephoto like style optic, even though it's not a telephoto lens. I don't know. I don't begin to be like an optical guy. I understand that, but that was cool. But yeah, these are kind of nice cameras. This one with the 40mm, not 35, 40mm lens, I like. You know, a little more depth of field, and it's a really sharp lens. But if you want a wider look, the XA4 is pretty hard to beat. Rollei, or sorry, a Ricoh GR would be cool, but those things are so expensive, and they seem to just die from what everybody reads. So it's too risky to me to spend what generally you have to spend good money on it, several $100s, upwards of $600, which is kind of crazy expensive for a camera that could just die on you any day. Whereas you don't hear that about these Olympus cameras. And the Rollei is basically a mechanical camera, so even if something breaks, you probably could have it repaired if you can find the right camera shop. Yeah, so that's it. Gonna put batteries back in. Actually, like I said, I already had, and probably load it up with some black and white. I just enjoyed shooting the XA recently with some Tri-X. Not sure I'm gonna need to look at the manual to make sure, which I have, to make sure this can read up to 3200 ISO. If it does, I may throw some Kodak P3200 Tri-X in there, or T-Max rather. I just got a roll back that I shot of that stuff and was pretty impressed with it. I'm in the middle of another roll of it that I have in my Epic, but it's a pretty interesting film. So I may use that here. That would be kind of fun. The DX coding, it would work because that film is DX rated at 3200, and I did find out from the developer they don't push it to do 3200. So like even though some people say it's like natively a 800 speed film, apparently it doesn't need push processing to be exposed for 3200, which is interesting. But yeah, figured I'd just share that. No big deal. Thanks.